This is how I learned to speak languages without talking to people. If you are an introvert and you're shy and you don't necessarily want to go through the embarrassment of approaching native speakers and try to have a conversation with them and fail and then try again and fail again, or maybe hire an online tutor and then talk to them and have really awkward conversation for hundreds of hours and all that, it's not really enjoyable. It's not enjoyable for anyone, I think. If you don't want to go through all that because you are shy or an introvert or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to give you a very easy technique you can use on your own to get good at speaking any language fast. It's one technique, but I highly recommend combining it with a couple other techniques, all right? But let's talk about the technique first. This technique is retrieval practice. It's extremely effective to improve your fluency, so your ability to think in the language, come up with sentences that are grammatically correct, that make sense, to activate more vocab, to increase your active vocabulary, and also to speak more accurately, making fewer mistakes. It's great. It's a great exercise in general to improve in all areas, except your pronunciation. And for that, I highly recommend doing a little bit of listening and repeating every single day. You simply listen to some sentences and repeat after, trying to sound as close as possible to native speakers. 5 minutes of that every day. It will work wonders if you do it every day. And the other thing you should do, obviously, is listening to the language regularly. But that's not any groundbreaking information, right? You should be listening to the language you're learning, obviously. But retrieval practice, this is the exercise that you should be doing if you want to learn to speak a language well without having to talk to people. Eventually, you will want to talk to people once you get good at the language. But even if you are not an introvert and you like talking to people, I like talking to people. Even when I suck at the language, I talk to people if I encounter them. But that's a reward. Yeah? The real learning for me happens at home. I train my speaking skills on my own and then I put them into practice with native speakers. I don't go out looking for native speakers to talk to, or I don't get native speakers to talk to online or anything like that. I only talk to native speakers once I think or I know I'm going to enjoy the conversation. So for that, we've got retrieval practice, and it's very, very easy. You only need a long list of sentences in the language, and for this, I recommend combining language islands with example sentences for all the necessary vocabulary and grammar, all the common vocabulary and grammar. You should have example sentences in the target language, and then language islands, which are your own sentences to talk about your own topics, your own situations, the things you normally do, to be able to speak in those scenarios. Sentences specifically for that. This is 80-20 done twice, right? The most common vocab and grammar of the language in example sentences, and your own most common sentences as well. So we'll have a long list of both, and we'll create flashcards with it in the language you're learning and in your own language. And you'll get the flashcards first in your own language, and you'll try to translate verbally into the language that you're trying to learn. And you get the sentence, you look at it, you try to, okay, how do I say this? And you actually say it aloud, and you click, and you get the immediate feedback. So if you made a mistake, you'll see it immediately. You have to pay attention to the feedback, right? And you correct yourself if you made a mistake. If your grammar was wrong, or if you didn't know the vocabulary, you will know immediately that you didn't know the vocabulary because you couldn't finish the sentence. You say the correct sentence aloud. And then you review it again in 10 minutes or in 4 days. Or it depends on how well you know it, all right? And you do it with the next sentence and the one after that. And like that with hundreds of sentences every day. So thousands of sentences every week, tens of thousands of sentences after 2 or 3 months. It's difficult, it's hard work, it's stressful, not really stressful, it's just frustrating. Stressful would be, talking to people would be stressful, yeah. This is more frustrating than stressful. You get frustrated because you don't know it, you made a mistake, and I have to try this again in 10 minutes, and over and over and over again. I knew this one, and I made a mistake again, I said it wrong again. But you keep doing it no matter what. And you realize that after an hour of doing this, you're able to say way more in the language, and you make much fewer mistakes in the language. You still make mistakes, obviously, because you get new sentences every single day, and you make mistakes in the new ones. But you keep doing this over and over again, and you'll notice that you make much fewer mistakes, and that you're able to use a lot more vocabulary in conversation. You speak in complete sentences that make sense with good grammar. And that's it. You just have to keep doing it. It's a lot of hard work, but when it comes to time efficiency, it's extremely powerful, this technique, because, well, first of all, you get to say a lot in the time that you are practicing. You get immediate feedback. You get corrected all the time. And this is why it's way better than speaking to native speakers, because native speakers will not correct you all the time, because that's rude, and they don't want to feel uncomfortable by constantly interrupting you. And there's that. They also just don't care often. And also, when you're in conversation, the tendency will be to use the same easy vocabulary that you know really well over and over again, instead of trying to use new vocab and new expressions all the time, which is what you do with the retrieval practice. There are thousands of words and sentences there that you wouldn't use in conversation, but now the flashcards are forcing you to think of those words and sentences and use them and say them a lot. You're saying them, so you're learning to use them. So you're massively increasing your active vocabulary as well. So this is why this exercise is, first of all, no one's judging you, only yourself. You will get frustrated and angry at yourself sometimes because you didn't know it, or you made mistakes, or you keep making the same mistakes over and over. It can happen, but it's less stressful than speaking in front of people, and it's way more effective because, well, you can do it anywhere. Not anywhere, I don't do it in the office in front of everyone else, obviously, but you can do it anytime. Yeah, you just need your phone, and you just sit in the sofa and do it for 10 minutes in the morning and 10 more minutes in the afternoon, and 10 more minutes before dinner, and that's 30 minutes of this exercise that you've done, for example. So you can do it basically at any time, and you improve in all areas. You will make fewer mistakes, you will use more vocab, speaking complete sentences. It's super complete, this exercise, especially if you combine it with listening and repeating for pronunciation and general listening. Yeah, this is my big secret to learn languages fast. This is how I've learned a dozen languages, and I keep learning more. You just have to swallow the hard pill. It's hard work. There's no way around it. You just have to sit down and do all the reps. Set a number, 200 reps a day of retrieval practice, and you do them. And you keep doing it until you're done. And there's no excuse. Every single day you do it. And this way you can get good at speaking without talking to people.